boy, it's cold today. I think it's about 15 degrees or something. I've been kind of on a hiatus from the channel for a minute. I have been recording a few things here and there, just haven't had enough to edit to make a video. You know, I've been starting a new business, and honestly, it's taking a lot of my time, and I can make more in one day in my business than I'm making a whole month of YouTube. So that's, you know, kind of where I've been. But I'm gonna be back over here working on the old EG coupe, boy, the Green Goblin. And we're gonna be working on getting the rear diff mounted. This diff mount is from PLM. Again, we're modeling a budget here, okay? So we gotta take off this Beaks bar, and then we've got the PLM diff mount here. If you're interested in one of these, I sell them on my website. Get you a good deal, best deal you'll find, I promise. Go to hondaresource.com and then enter the code YouTube at checkout. It'll save you a few bucks. I promise, best deal you'll find. Can't tell you how much it is, but it's the best deal you'll find. All right, so you bought one of these, you don't know how to put it together because it all comes in pieces. It's not assembled like this, okay? So what I'm gonna do is show you how to put it together, all right? So it's gonna go on the car like this. These angles going down, okay? So what you'll need to do is these pieces, they have the side that's angled at the bottom, that sticks out further at the bottom. These pieces, okay, you see how they go, but they're offset, so they offset towards the middle. So that's how they need to go. And then over here is a little piece, bolts on from this side. The piece that protrudes goes down. And then this little piece here bolts on from the outside, just like that. And then we'll have to notch the little subframe up here for clearance. So now I've got that notched out. I just did it with my cutoff wheel and my grinder, right? And it's basically held the diff mount up here and to see where the middle section needed clearance. And I marked it. And then I just cut it right at the edge up here. Same on both sides. I'll just spray a little bed liner on or some other undercoating or something just to keep from rusting. There's a little bushing that comes right here. You have to slide this up in there. And there's the bolt that'll go through that. You'll have to drill a hole into the floor here and put the nut on the inside of the tire wheel. Get right in front of my fuel tank. I'll do the same thing right here. And basically that bolt, or that sleeve in there, is gonna keep the bolt from squishing this down. I'll show you where those go in a second. Alrighty, so she's bolted up there now. So I was gonna show you on, well, these bolts, I guess they provided these bolts to go over there. It's the wrong thread pitch. So I didn't use them because they don't go into the factory nut right there. So I just went over to my bolt bin and found some 14mm bolts that were this length. And they worked perfect. So if you don't have bolt bins like me, you can go to the hardware store and get one. Take the factory 14, right? The factory one, because it's too short now, but it has thread pitch. So take this one, tell me you want one that's this length with that thread, and you'll be good to go. We have these two with the nuts that come with them, and they go on the side over here. So the long one goes at the bottom, the short one goes at the top. You'll have to reach through here and put the nut on. So just showing you guys that. You see it's already got the holes there. You just have to put the nuts on the back side. Little finger action, give her what she likes, you know. Okay, so we got those started now. Those have started to, I don't have these tight yet. I'll get them tight in a minute though. I did wind up cutting this more than I originally showed you guys, but I need a little more clearance for this bracket here. It was bumping it, so I trimmed it out some more. But you can see there where we got it over to. And they got these big fat bolts. All right. And they'll go here through that sleeve, and you have to drill a hole in the floor and then put a nut on the inside. However, my poor Chinese kid that packaged mine that day, he forgot to put the correct size nuts. He did give me nuts, just weren't the right ones. So we got 2 there, and it should be 2 more for that, but no. Anyways, these 2 bolts and those 2 nuts will go through here and go through the actual differential. Once, yeah, it's kind of tough to put this in with it already bolted in here, but typically what I do is unbolt these 6 bolts right here in the center, get this started on my diff, pick the diff up, put my bolts back in here. That's the way I go about it typically. But yeah, still gotta weld the front bar in. We'll get to that here in a little bit. So I just used my little 2-pound sledgehammer and did some light massaging up in here to get the clearance for the diff to sit up in there. You see I got it unbolted here. Got those pieces bolted onto it there. And then I'm gonna pick it up. Be careful if you're doing this by yourself. If you're not strong, it can be kind of awkward holding the diff up and getting it bolted into here. So if you have a friend, it's a good thing to have a friend. All right, so now the diff is mounted in there. I like to go ahead and mount the diff at the back and then start on putting the plates and stuff on top and the bar so that I can actually see where it needs to be. And yeah, we got a diff, baby. I guess it's as a lot of other YouTubers will say, it's officially all-wheel drive swapped. No, not even close. Went to the old Home Depot and I grabbed some nuts for these bolts. I just took one of the bolts and matched some nuts up, and ironically, I picked up 2 different nuts. This one has a nylon insert and that one just locks there on the end. I didn't even notice it whenever I grabbed them. They do work. I just put the bolts in from the top and then used like a pull handle on a socket on the top, just and wedged it to where it would hold it. And then I tied it down here with another breaker bar and another socket. So now we got those tight, we can work on putting our bar in up here. I went ahead and got some bolts into that, the top of the diff. I took the fuel line back down just so it's not in my way. I can work around it, do whatever I need to do. And also, I went ahead and notched the bar that goes across the front. It comes to a square end, so it's a little bit too long. So I just used my cutoff wheel again to notch them out. You can see there, I got written on there driver rear, so that whenever we put it up in here, let's see. Trying to do all this one-handed, you know. So we put it up in there. See, it's got a little gap there on the sides, and that's because we have these plates. They have to go in there. Now, I will say that with these plates, you need to be careful because they're galvanized, and we gotta grind all the galvanization off before we weld, because it'll make some pretty foul odors for the galvanized. But how I did that, as far as getting it the correct angle and all that kind of stuff, is I put the bar up here as far as it would go, and it would actually go right to the edge of this, like the back edge was at the front edge of this, and then I just laid this up next to it, marked it with a Sharpie, same, you know, front and back, and then just took my cutoff wheel and was able to cut that. But now I need to make some more marks and take this back down, take my grinder and grind all this galvanization off to where I can weld all of this up off of the car. I'll probably tack weld it in place up here and then pull it off the car, weld all this, put it back up in here, and then weld these plates and all that stuff up here. I just took my flap disc and cleaned off. You can see there how I got the galvanization off of that, because whenever you weld galvanized,
puts off a terrible odor that's not very healthy for you. So got the galvanization off of here because that's where the bar sits in here, and I'll put a bead on that side. I cleaned off the edge here, the edge all the way around on this, and then you can see the end plates. I got galvanization off of those. I cleaned the ends of the bar here, and then also here on the bar where it will be welded, and then all this will get repainted once it's welded and in the car. So now I got to bolt this back onto the diff, put this back up, put a couple tack welds, take it back out again, and weld it up out of the car. I ain't gonna sit here and try to pretend that I'm a welder, but I mean, you can tell that's got some penetration into it, and it'll hold. So yeah, let's get this bolted back onto the diff and put these end plates on. All right, so I got that bar welded in now. You can see all the way around it there. Now, again, I don't claim to be a welder. I know this looks terrible to a lot of you guys who actually know what the hell you're doing when it comes to welding, but I promise you, it's not gonna fall out. Okay. So anyways, we got that diff mount in there now, and now we can move on to something else. But that's where we're gonna pick it up again tomorrow. Because you can see it's getting cold in here. And my heater is going. It's just that cold outside, man. It's just brutal. It's supposed to get down in the low teens again tonight, and it's just too much. So tomorrow or whenever I can, I'll get back to it, and we'll get to installing the trailing arms and some other pieces that we have to go on it. So thanks so much for joining me on this episode, and I hope to see you on the next one soon, shortly, like maybe in a couple days, hopefully. Who knows? Depends on how business goes, you know. But anyways, if you're watching this video at the time I put it out, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year's, and I hope everyone's had a good year, and hope everyone has a wonderful 2023. We'll see you soon. Peace.